Hi guys, welcome to my channel. Since winter break is pretty much over, since it is winter, this is the peak season for figure skating. So for those of you who have their child enrolled in their very first Learn to Skate class, I'm going to kind of explain what to expect in your first class. If this is your child's first time skating, most likely they will either be in a tot class or they will be in a pre-alpha class. Certain rinks are members of certain skating organizations. These classes names may vary a little bit depending on what organization your rink is a part of. So that tot or pre-alpha class, that also might be called Snowplow Sam and Basic 1. Now in these classes, it is very important that as a parent, you get your child there on time. Your child will get the most out of their class if they are on the ice on time. Good rule of thumb, when you arrive for your class, please make sure to arrive anywhere between 20 to 30 minutes before the class starts. When you enroll into a class, especially when it's in the winter season for skating, it's typically crowded. So if you get there 10 minutes before class and you need to rent skates, you need to put on your skates, you need to figure out where you're supposed to go, that's going to all take more than 10 minutes, especially if you are renting skates. I would suggest being at the rink at least a half hour before your class starts so you can figure out these things. You might have to switch out your skates a couple of times if you're renting, or you might need to find a coach to help you tie skates. Make sure your child is comfortable in the skates and see if they can walk across the lobby. If they can't walk in their skates very well, there could be a couple of issues with the skates themselves, whether it's the fact that they're really broken down or they might not be tied properly. So it's very important that you get there early enough to try these skates on, and if you're noticing any problems with your child walking, then you know you need to either get a different pair of skates or you should look for a coach and have them help you out. Staying on that topic, if your child is standing on their skates upright and their ankles start to fall in on their skates, that is not a good sign. You want to be able to stand up nice and level on your skates. So if there's some leaning with your skates, whether they're on the inside ankles or the outside ankles, most likely you might need to switch them out. The best thing is to get a coach and ask them for their expertise in that moment, depending on how the skates look. But if your child can walk across the lobby and they're having no problems, that is great. That means skates seem to be working out well. Before class starts, in the tot or Snowplow Sam class, as well as the pre-alpha or Basic 1 class, a lot of coaches like to meet with their class off ice. So when the coach gathers their class, they will go over falling and standing up. So they'll go over that whole process, how to fall properly, what you should do after you fall, as well as how to get up from that fall. Then they'll discuss where your arms should be, where your head should be facing, and marching. So these are the basics that we go over in our first Learn to Skate class. We first like to do them off ice because it's a little less scary for the children, because sometimes you have a child and they do not want to go on the ice or they're terrified. This is a good way to kind of get the kids started so they are prepared and aware of what they're supposed to do once they get on the ice. And with that being said, once the coach goes over all of those things with the children in the class, that's when they start bringing them out on the ice. So don't expect your child to be out on the ice right away for class. If you're in one of those beginning levels, you will be meeting the class off ice for at least the first couple weeks. And then from there, you start to go on the ice right away. In the first Learn to Skate class too, it might be just a little hectic. Keep that in mind, just because you will have parents coming in late. And when they come in late, it makes it very difficult for the coaches to keep their class going and moving along in a good fashion. I also want parents to realize that certain levels take longer than one session to pass. I've seen kids pass a certain level and it would take them maybe a year before they pass that level, but these children, all they do is they go to their Learn to Skate classes and they do not practice. If you want your child to excel and get through these levels quickly, the best thing that you can do for your child is bring them to the rink and take them to a public skate so they can practice. When they practice, the more that they're on the ice, the more comfortable they get, and they're practicing those basic skills, whether they know it or not, and it just improves your all-around skating. Even as a child, for me, my dad took me to every public skate I could, and I practiced everything that I learned from my coaches. With that, I even skipped levels, multiple levels, at multiple times, just because I was always on the ice. Now, I will say I always wanted to be on the ice. That is a huge thing to keep in mind. If your child doesn't really want to go and they don't want to skate, maybe don't push it. Just because then they're not going to want to be there. They're going to not excel and they're not going to put that joy into what they're doing. It's very important that they want to be there. So if you're noticing your child has a huge interest when they're starting their Learn to Skate class, feel free. Take them to any public skate and let them just skate and have a good time. Even if they're going to public skate and they're just having fun, and not exactly working on their elements, that's better than absolutely nothing because they're getting that skate time. So in turn, they're getting more and more used to just being on the ice and getting comfortable, which is a huge positive when it comes to those higher levels. Things are gonna come more naturally too. And also, with every Learn to Skate class, typically rinks offer a practice session for the children before or after their class, just so they can work on the moves that are needed in order to pass their levels.